Hey y'all, Bearded Bros Golf Show, back at it again. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
We have kind of wound down the end of the men's regular season. The ladies also also on a semi break that they're going on after today's tournament. Scottie Scheffler, 3 years going into the Tour Championship with the lead, finally closed the deal, concluding a hell of a season, the best professional men's season since 2007, tying up Tiger Woods with with 7 wins overall. Back in the day, same quantity for Tiger. Tiger had 3 other seasons that were better than that with 8 wins, and then, two with 8 wins, and then one with nine that tied Vijay Singh as well. What do you think about this year for Scottie Scheffler, man? Let me run down the accomplishments, and then I'll get your take on it. So, 7
Yeah.
wins, one major, Olympic gold medal, tour championship, new kid, arrested, charges dropped, 55 million in tournament winnings. What do you say?
Um, I say that's a lot better. I'd say that's some people's whole lifetime. So for him to do it in a season, you already know how he's coming. Pause. But bro just really turned it up a notch this year, and it paid off. I mean, he went back to what he knew. He stopped playing around on the greens with the blade putter and stopped trying to look cool and went with what was effective. And Ted Scott on the bag doesn't hurt. I mean, that guy is just a
No,
natural born
no,
winner.
yeah. Shout out to Ted Scott also. If
Yeah,
Scotty's paying
great
Ted the
kid.
10%, he's won 5.5 million this year. That's pretty
Yeah,
damn good.
truly. But and that's without his amenities, his salary as a full time caddy to the number one player in the golf. I mean, I just think it's crazy to think about what Scotty accomplished this year, and then also still be thinking about Tiger because Tiger did this before. And then on top of that, I mean, you look at what Scotty has done as the number one golfer, and then how many more years he still has to remain as a number one golfer just to tie Tiger as the number one, as how many weeks he's been number one. But we're
Right.
gonna not go down that route. We're gonna keep this Scotty focused because we could go down a deep route if we went Tiger on everything. But yeah, Scotty getting arrested, still bouncing back same week, and then for that to be, I just think that really speaks to his character. For him to just sit there and just dismiss that whole situation. I
Yeah,
mean, I think that's like a scarring situation for a lot of folks. And I don't know if they
I think so.
necessarily bounce back that quick, if at all.
Well, he
Just,
talked about it a couple times this week, and then particularly in his post-win press conference, or not press conference, but when he was sitting on set. I think something was impactful about the reception that he received from the crowd when he did actually get to the course that day on that
mhm,
Friday of the PGA Championship, and just said that
yeah,
he was emotional about it. He said he broke down later on in the day just thinking about that moment specifically. So I think just that extra level of support that he received from the fans contributed to the maybe the bounce back. And I think in real
yeah, true.
time when we were discussing it, we were just really hitting on the adrenaline, must have been flowing going into that round after what had happened in the preceding hours, getting out there on
Facts.
course and being able to shoot a decent round considering what he went through that first part of the day. So I mean, I agree, and knowing that you're probably in the right in a situation helps, right? When you
Yeah,
know that you one have the finances to handle whatever may come your way, but also feeling like that you were falsely arrested, which we covered the details of that a couple of times as well. That charges ended up getting dropped. The suspicion around that
rightfully so.
particular officer, yeah, 100%. I mean, what we could see from the coverage showed that Scotty was really trying to be compliant. The way that the officer approached wasn't necessarily to their standards and code, didn't turn on the body camera, all the things that we've seen from police went on and during that arrest. And, again, due to his status and the high status nature of this particular arrest, charges ended up getting dropped. I mean, Louisville continues to be one of the worst police departments, major
Right.
police departments in the country. So yeah, I mean, that was crazy impactful, but in the midst of, it's just crazy to think about it in the midst of this year that he's had. And we're still not done, right? He could go out there and have a bang up President's Cup here
Yeah.
in the next, handful of weeks and really cement that. I think we talked about it. If he won the Tour Championship, Player of the Year was definitely locked down. Xander, while admirable year, very good. Forget admirable. Forget that I just said admirable. Two majors is awesome. And then finally getting
Crazy
over
good.
the snide, crazy good. On two different setups, getting over, the snide, getting the major win, awesome year as well. But hard to compare up to Scotty's. But yeah, I think that Scotty's got the Player of the Year locked down 100%, not even a question, should be
Not
unanimous. If
even.
somebody votes outside of that, you're kind of an asshole. But no shade to Xander. He's really now put himself in that elite class, which we talked about. I know how I
Right.
feel about this, but a question for you. You're gonna have people that really are gonna put an asterisk on Scotty's season, that it wouldn't have been achievable if, there wasn't the split and division in golf right now. What do you think about that aspect of it and people making that particular argument?
I think it's. I don't think it's the right. I don't think it's the right route, but clearly that's you know up for debate, as everybody wants to say and think it is, because just because John Rahm wasn't there, I mean, that's about all I got. You keep going down the list, and the list keeps dwindling. Terrell Hatton's not making an impact on Scottie Scheffler's season or where he resides on any leaderboard. John Rahm,
Right.
maybe. Cam Smith, and maybe half of those field, maybe. Everybody else that went over to the
Bryson
other side,
DeChambeau. DeChambeau, of
he
course. Don't
he.
forget
I
about him.
mean, he's made a resurgence, but I'm very dismissive. I think it's fraudulent. I think he's got. I don't know how much more winning he has left in his bag, despite his you know arguments to get back into some of these bigger fields, and just besides majors and stuff like that, because they don't want to do the work to get back on the DB World Tour and get back in good standing, and then build their world ranking points up and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm on the side of whether they were there or not. I don't think it makes much difference. Um, yeah, I mean, but a lot of those guys aren't getting into the heightened events anyways. I mean, just think about the wins. Arnold Palmer, elevated event, Players Championship, fifth major, the Masters, the RBC Heritage the very next week after the Masters, won
Yeah.
that too, elevated event. The Memorial, elevated event, won that in single
Travelers.
in what are we talking about? Then went
Yeah.
on to win gold. They not touching what he had
It's
going on
it's
regardless.
it's so hard to. The reason I don't give it much credit or credence is because the landscape changed dramatically once those guys decided to make the move. We know that there were several guys that just generally don't love playing the game of golf. And so the schedule matches up for how they would like to operate their careers. I think two that stand out to me distinctly are Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. Both. I think mostly Brooks Koepka has been very outspoken that he does not love golf at all. It's something that he's really good at and he's talented at, but it's not something that he just finds himself, raring to go. And so the schedule with Live really sets up handsomely for them to do what fits their lifestyle. DJ is really good when he's in a routine. I think people that are around him say that. But when you're
Yeah.
playing, once a month, once every month and a half, and there are these larger gaps in between certain parts of their season, yeah, they'll have these stretches where they play two, three times in a month, but then they'll go like right now. They finished. They did the TPC Greenbrier a couple weeks ago, and they're not going to tee it up again for another 2 weeks at the end of the season, and then they're done. 2 weeks in a row. They do the individual championship, then team championship, something in that order, and then they're done for the year until
Yeah.
February per se. So it's really hard because, with those guys, had they continued to be on a regular schedule, had to meet their tour obligations, not falling off. Because DJ was still really good
Yeah.
recently,
I mean,
right?
but true, but also you have to think about real life situations. We just saw Scotty get arrested. Does DJ not fall down the steps again? Does Brooks Koepka not injure his wrist again on a random route or something on a golf course again? If this was 2021 post COVID or 2022 in a synopsis of the league when everybody was still primed and still playing a lot of golf and still relatively invigorated to play, this might have a bigger stance in what's going on with what happened this year. But we are almost 3 complete years and seasons removed from the split of the tour. I just think that argument is played. I just straight up. It's played, bro. They've had time to adjust. They've had time to get into a new regiment and a new regular schedule. So for them to not be ready and not be ready for these majors, which is they're still qualified for 5, 6 guys out of the tour from the live side. Like I said, I'm just unmoved by this. It's 2024, bro. If this was 2022, 2023, even barely, a year and a half removed,
Yeah,
2 years removed, it would hold more stature in this argument. I'm not seeing it now.
I can get with that. I mean, even we've seen John Rahm's game, even in the 1 year that this is his first full season on live, really not be at the quality that he was leaving
It's
last
good,
year.
not great.
Right, right. And that comes with repetition. Again, I think he's the rhythm player, somebody that needs to get swings in consistently. But I think we've also seen his shape, his physical condition go up and down. And so I think John Rahm
Lily
is
of
one
the
of these
inside.
guys, yeah, that needs one of these, that needs to be playing pretty routinely to find the focus. I think John Rahm legitimately loves the game of golf, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into being a professional golfer, which we know, right? It's not just going out there and getting reps in on the practice tee, but it's, the working out aspect of it, it's the diet, all the things that come with, anything that you are wanting to be great at. It takes waking up and doing it when you don't feel like waking up and doing it. And sometimes to a
Facts.
certain degree, being forced to play a couple times a month does that, right? Because you're never that far
Yeah.
away from your next start. But if you know, like, hey, I'm naturally talented at this game, I can put the clubs down for 2 weeks. I can get on it, and we have a month gap between our next event. I can pick up the clubs in 2 weeks and get back in enough shape to be formidable with limited fields. I'm only playing with 54 guys or 53 other guys, and I can go out there and achieve a top 10 because I know
Right.
just my physical talent brings me to the top 10 of live for a handful of those guys week in and week out. And I think Brooks Koepka and John Rahm fall into that particular category of just
Yeah.
naturally talented guys that can just tee it up and be good. So I mean, we'll see how this argument continues to go. I know Rory expressed some frustration this week about the discussions not moving along. To be real with you, I don't expect anything to happen. Nothing has progressed since the extension earlier in the year of any kind of merger or I don't know, some kind of palatable agreement between
Yeah.
the two leagues. Not John Rahm, but Greg Norman had some lengthy posts, which I couldn't even really make it through all of the details of it because it was just this, run him running around patting himself on the back. about their accomplishments, whatever those may be, or however he perceives the accomplishments of Live to be. And it's like, dude, we're still dealing with the same pomp and circumstance that we were dealing with at the beginning when this was really contentious. And yes, the kind of shots back and forth have quieted down, but I don't see the leagues coming back together. All we know is that most of these contracts, excuse me, start expiring next year. I think we saw that with Phil talking about possibly going into a executive role, stopping playing. A lot of those
Yeah,
really early adopters are at the end of their deals. So we'll see
yeah,
how things play out. I don't want to. We've already kind of gotten way deep into this, but rewinding all the way back to where we started. Kudos to Scottie Scheffler. I expect more. And the only thing that I would say is, and I mentioned this a few episodes ago, is that I would love to see him win another major outside of the Masters. We've talked
yeah.
about how kind of niche Augusta National is, and there's certain players that have an eye for that particular course. They can go there and
Courses for
win.
courses.
Yeah, pretty routinely. I would love to see him solidify himself winning on a venue that is not Augusta National. And to me, it'll really just not legitimize, but I would have absolutely no doubts about who he is as a player, even though he has shown it week in and week out. I think the Olympics was another step in that. That's the world stage. It's on a, outside venue playing against everybody, people that, yeah, there wasn't a Bryson DeChambeau there. But again, like you said, he hasn't necessarily competed on a stage to be able to get enough qualifying points to get out there and be considered for the Olympics. So kudos to Scottie Scheffler for this amazing year. Like we said, still one more event that he can add to that legacy for this year as well.
My thing is, the thing about Bryson to me is a lot of people are just wrangling in on the fact that he's on this redemption tour and he won the U.S. Open. Bro, just because you love your country and you are patriotic and wear red, white, and blue, and you talk about how much you love this country and you fight for it, doesn't mean you get rewarded for that. You still got to do the work. If you are
Yeah.
still not on the tours competing and creating these opportunities to accumulate points and to legally qualify for these events, me loving the United States of America has nothing to do with that. And for the fanfare following, it's the same thing. Okay, I love America too. That doesn't mean I get qualified for the Masters. Like, that's just the stupidest thing to me. And that's what I feel like this angle is with Bryson right now. Just because everybody's falling back in
Yeah.
love with him and he's all go USA. Yeah, we're all go USA. We're all for that. But you still got to do the work and qualify for it to be rewarded for that. That's gonna kill
Well, I
me. And
think.
then
Well, hold
go
on
ahead.
before you move on. Yeah, hold the thought. Hold the thought. Keep that thought in your head wherever you're about to go. But I think he's always on the PR tour. It was very interesting because I don't.
Right.
I'm subscribed to his channel, but I don't actively watch, if that makes sense, right? So if something pops up and I'm interested in it, so he's had this
You keep tabs.
series, huh?
You keep
Say
tabs.
that again. Yeah. So he has this series. It's a Break 50 series from the Red Tees, whatever that he's got going on. Now he's started this one where it's break the course record. So this week he played, or at least released a video the same time and day as the Creator Classic that was going on in association with the PGA Tour. It was at a local course that I have also played this week, Coyote Ridge. Me and you played the course as well, right? So this
Yeah.
Wednesday, 4 o'clock, he releases his break the course record, and of course shot a really good score. He was playing from the tips. The person that had the course record was Minwoo Lee, which is very interesting. But he's all about the PR side of it, being in front of the camera. He loves that aspect of it. So you're going to get PR related moves and statements. So when you hear him talking about loving his country or, his desire to do that, again, it's all public relations, and like you said, he's trying to win back the public because people had soured on Bryson for a really long time, and then he went on this redemption tour where people, oh, he's a human. He stopped doing awkward things, like really awkward things. Started cleaning up
Yeah.
some of the stuff from interviews and whatnot. So anyway, just think about in that aspect. Anything that he does is definitely related to PR for the most part. But what else were you gonna say right after that?
Um, I was just gonna circle back to Scotty. I think the fact that he won that gold with that field, that 60-man field, um, at Le Golf National, which was, as we saw in the Ryder Cup, was just a complete mind f for all the American golfers. Haven't seen anything like it, and he went out and not dominated, but handily won that.
Yeah,
We all know some people are faking the funk, and they're talking about the medal don't count, but to me that's double a major. The gold in a lifetime, especially as a niche sport player, that
right.
to me holds a little bit more weight. But I agree though. And the thing about the majors is I like 100% agree with you. He's already legitimized what he's got going, his stature in the game, but this will take him to a different level. It's not the same thing as him just finding a different way to win at Augusta, or
Yeah,
finding different ways to win at courses he enjoys or suits his eye. The game's is the same thing that we always say, even amongst amateurs and the homies. The game's got to travel, and it's got to be able to show up in more than one avenue. So I agree. Hopefully next year, he goes down that route, and we see him make a move at the U.S. Open. Which again, a guy like Scottie Scheffler, that the people endear him winning America's Open, buddy. I mean, it's gonna go crazy if he does. So Father's Day weekend too, brother.
yeah.
He might have, it might be something crazy if he wins the US. I mean, really at any
So
stature now that he's a dad.
right. PGA Championship will be held at Quail Hollow, so a familiar venue for the guys. They play
He
there
could get
year in
that.
out for the Wells Fargo, or no longer the Wells Fargo this year. And then the U.S. Open is going to be at Oakmont, also a familiar course, has been in the rotation. And then Royal Portrush is where the Open Championship is occurring this year. So I think there's some good chances for him. Courses that are not ridiculously long, that are gettable
Yeah.
for him. So we'll see. I think the part that I admire about Scotty is his unique ability to focus and, really be locked in. And I think we've seen him transform a little bit this year and become a little
Yeah.
more personable, on camera. And we're seeing more of the personal life. Of course, when you have a kid, it changes your perspective on things. I
Yeah.
sent you this video, earlier in the day from his dad that I found very interesting and enlightening because as a parent, you see things in your kids that maybe other people don't see. You still want to keep feeding their dreams and their desires in life, but you're also realistic about some of their limitations. And so I
Yeah.
found this very interesting video from actually the Corn Ferry Tour posted it. So I'm going to pull this up really quickly.
The college to the Corn Ferry Tour to these. I always say I always knew Scotty could be successful if he could get to the PGA Tour. This was something that I told myself. I didn't know if he could get through the Corn Ferry Tour. I'm being honest with you. I didn't know that he could shoot 28 under week after week, but obviously
Facts.
I was wrong. I wasn't wishing it against him. It's hard to do. And obviously he's capable of playing whatever level they put him at to keep going. So to get to the level he is now in the last, 28 months has really been astonishing to watch. And it's almost surreal. It's like, wow, but it's fun. It's really fun for us as a family, and it's enjoyable to watch. I'll tell you that. I said Scotty brings a lot of joy to people. So we're glad for that.
Yeah,
That's a
like I said,
dope
as a
moment.
it really is because like it revealed to me, and I've seen this in person, and I do enjoy watching the Corn Ferry Tour, but every week you have to go low, and that's why I think it's hard to differentiate yourself in a lot of these avenues that these college guys have now to go from college to the PGA Tour are a lot more abbreviated and not necessarily
Yeah,
having to slog it out for years on the Corn Ferry. But those guys are shooting high 20s every single week,
every week.
and they're not playing these like super easy courses, but are they PGA Tour quality every week? Not quite,
Mm,
but you got to go, 8, 9 under every single round for 4 days to have a chance to win a couple of times, and then you get your card, or have some high top five finishes, etc. So I thought that was some
yeah,
really cool perspective from his dad, just being realistic, knowing how good his son was, right? But the odds are not in their favor. There's a lot of good golfers out here, and that's why we've really never worried about kind of people like, oh, the death to the PGA Tour. There's a lot of talent still out there, hungry,
facts.
seeing the PGA Tour as their avenue to be a
They
professional
just need
golfer,
an
right?
opportunity.
Right. And you're not going to tell me that somebody would sneeze at 20, let me clarify, $55 million, and that doesn't include endorsements from this year. So we don't know what
Literally,
he's getting
Pros-
from commercials and other things. We know he's not heavily branded. He's a Nike guy, which Nike, they don't allow alternative branding, so his Nike deal is probably pretty damn decent. Wouldn't be surprised if we see him as the next signature athlete for Nike Golf, even though, Tiger was that guy. Would we be surprised if we actually had a Scheffler shoe at some point? No. You
no,
know,
not at all.
Brooks has had the unofficial shoe. They're not calling it the Kepka, but we know that Infinity Tour Zoom percentage is his shoe.
Yeah,
So we'll see. I think, with the more that gives us more of his personality, the opportunities and doors will continue to open up for him. But again, just another sweet moment with his dad. Um, let's segue away from the PJ Tour for just a sec. There's a couple of other stories that I do want to come back to, but
real
no,
quick from
screw that. Screw that. Yeah,
okay.
no, we'll finish PJ. We'll finish PJ. No, not screw my mom, but put her comment up. It is a joy to watch your children play sports. Very rewarding. Your dad and I always enjoyed going to each of your events. Thanks, Mom. Hearts.
Thanks, mother.
Let's talk about the Sahith Theegala deal, man. Okay, because that aggravated me to no end. I can't play the video just because it's a PGA Tour. They're super stupid about their
Copyright, all that fun stuff.
licensing,
Yeah.
and yeah, you can go find the video. The replays did not show him brushing the sand at any point. He self-reported him brushing the sand on his takeaway. He was hovering the entire time. You didn't see anything kind of go back when he did go into his backswing. It's like he actually lifted the club up a little bit more to go into the backswing. The ball was sitting up at an angle. You didn't see like a base behind it, but he self-reported himself as clearing sand behind the ball. Very admirable, but I call BS on that. I don't know if it was just like a breeze. I know what that may feel like, but I feel like he maybe felt a breeze catch his club or something, that he
Hmm.
mistakenly thought he caught some sand. But to lose two strokes and possibly cost himself money, that was aggravating to me, especially when the replay showed no tangible evidence of that. And I even felt like they could have gone back and like, hey, yeah, you self-reported. We've looked at the footage. We don't see that. We're not going to assess the penalty. What do you think about this situation?
I mean, I guess just in real time, did he play just that one ball after self-reporting, or did he play a provisional where he played it whereas if he got it up and down, and then he played it as if he made a double? Like, did he play two balls or did he just play one? Because I just
No, I
heard
think it was
about
just
it.
one. I think it was just one. He just played this.
It's tough because okay, because to me it's tough if he plays if he plays two balls, one where he doesn't ground the club, one where he takes the penalty. Then I feel like the PGA could retroactively go back and say, "Hey, play the provisional, the one where you didn't take the penalty," and I think it would have been a little bit more clear cut. But
Well, no. This, I
again,
think you, I think you maybe. So he's in the fairway bunker. Ball looks slightly. It was on an upslope, so it wasn't anything
yeah,
where a provisional would even come into play. It was simply he's hovering above the ball. He says on the backswing he brushed sand away. Camera work did not show that at all. So I think I don't know if it was like while walking down to the green or walking off the hole, he reports the penalty. They come back a few holes later, confirm, assess the 2-stroke penalty. But yeah, I don't know, man. The scenario with that wouldn't have come into play where there's a provisional played in this particular ruling.
yeah. I'm just after the Fitzpatrick bullshit. I'm just trying to find a way to where I could find a reasoning for why they wouldn't, uplift this penalty.
No, they
Like
suck.
maybe
I'm so tired of the rules of golf at this
right.
stage that it's like overly serious. And I think we see just trolling Instagram. There is a complete mass movement, at least on the amateur side of things, and newer generations, millennials and younger. Like should be a game for fun, and we get it. Yes, they're playing for a crap ton of money, and this made the difference of about $5 million in the take home purse between second and third. And it looks like had he gotten those 2 strokes back, he would have ended up tied for second. Who knows? A lot of stuff can happen, depending on how you go into that round. But this whole crusade, like again, you mentioned the Fitzpatrick driver situation. When they actually justified the you when they justified why they wouldn't let him replace his driver at the BMW, complete gobbledygook and just mess. Made no sense
Yeah,
at all how they explained it. He didn't cause the deal to break. The face of his driver to crack. This is, I guess, the PGA Tour's way of defending against manufacturers thinning out faces artificially and saying, "Oh well, maybe it was just too thin going into it." So I don't know, man. The rules and PGA Tour keeps coming up. They keep making what is perceived as the wrong decision routinely. It's just like
yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it, man. But
I think they
yeah.
need to make like an outside entity to, confirm these rulings. But it's a bunch of BS. But I guess at the end of the day, this is one of those things where do you want the pros to have different rules than us, or do you want it to still remain something where we can all agree that the rules are BS and then just keep playing the same rules as them? Because we could easily do that bifurcation BS, but nobody wants to
Oh, we
see that.
already. I think we already, to a certain degree, bifurcate rules, right? So we know if
Yeah,
we're playing, and it
TV
doesn't
rules
matter
and stuff like that.
if we're playing for money. If a ball falls into a divot in the fairway, you're letting me take it out. I'm letting you take it out. Like that's
Facts. That's
just
true.
kind of garbage, right?
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
saw a post today on Twitter. Guy playing at a course that he said the course was generally well conditioned, but around a tree there was like some cracking where there wasn't getting as much water. Ball fell in the crack. Group agreed. Comes out of the crack. No penalty. Not a problem. Stuff like
Yeah.
that. Um, it's just like we already bifurcate to a certain, self regulate. Like, let's use our common sense here.
Yeah.
Let's all try to enjoy the game. Are you gaining an advantage by taken out of the divot. Not really, not relatively. So anyway, I hate that. Again, he said he couldn't have slept had he not called the penalty on himself. So kudos to him for being a really good guy. I think Sahith is one of those good guys. I think he's going to be really good in the locker room for the President's Cup. So shout out to him. But I just thought the PGA Tour could have did a better job of saying, "Hey, we didn't see it. We appreciate you calling it on yourself, but we're not going to assess a two-stroke penalty at this time.
Yeah,
Thanks for
we didn't
informing
deem
us.
it necessary.
Keep the spirit of the game. If it happens again, let us know. But this time, you're good to go." That's my thought on it.
Yeah.
But who the hell knows? I'm no expert. So yeah, Creator Classic, my guy. Pull up the little slideshow. I didn't want to do a lot on this, but we talked about it a little bit. But there's some good, bad, and ugly. Overall, I want to say that I think that the event itself came off very well. Professional production. It seems like they could have started a little bit earlier. I know it was hot as heck in Georgia, 4 o'clock on
Yeah.
Wednesday. Seems like it was a cooker going on still, but almost ran out of daylight as well. You could tell the cameras were starting to struggle there at the end of that that 9 holes and going into that final kind of playoff situation on 9. Um, Good from the production. Felt like they could have had people mic'd up and had a little more interaction because there was waiting going on, right? So they were trying to fill some spaces. Maybe a couple more groups to also have consistent action going on. With just 4 groups out there was a lot of watching lining up of putts and conversations going on as well. And I'm trying to think what else. The ugly, I'll save my ugly. But the ugly came down to the last hole. What'd you think about the Creator Classic?
Overall, a success. I mean, one of the first times I caught a live, and I don't know, man. The YouTube chat is just its
You can't.
own
It's
little.
intolerable.
Oh my god, it's a cesspool, man. It's so many creeps. There's so many people that feel so entitled to say stupid shit just because they know they can, and then spam it on top of that. So that it really kills my vibe sometimes. Like, if you know you're gonna set this up, PGA, get you some computer tech guys, get you some tech savvy folks in your media department, make them moderators, and tell them to watch chat only. Y'all can replay and watch the video of the golf later. You need to watch chat because the chat people was doing chat shit and it was not good. But overall, as
I
far as
I'm
golf
surprised you
goes,
even cover. I cover it up. I don't even entertain the
usually
chat
I
because
do
it
X
was.
out of it. I usually do X out of it. I don't even want to see it, but I wanted to see who people were cheering for, who they were fighting for, and stuff like that. Who they knew, because there was a lot of times, we know some of these people that we. Let's just go right
People
for it.
didn't.
We know
People
Roger
did not know
Still.
Roger.
They don't.
People did not know Roger Steele.
It
Z,
was
who I
so
play with,
many people. Yeah.
Z, who I play with, didn't even know who Roger Steele is. So
Mm. Yeah. We know who Amy Cho is. A lot of people didn't know who Amy Cho is. We know who Gabby Golf Girl is. A lot of people still don't know who Gabby Golf Girl is. The Horn Dogs were out for Paige. Sad that it happened because she didn't really deserve that. I felt like she was actually really about the golf and was relatively covered up despite what she usually wears. So kudos to Paige and her ability to grow the game and her own abilities. Again, on her Instagram, she's still making tips and trick videos. Like, she's
yeah,
not just out here with the
being
trap.
eye
So
candy. Yeah,
exactly. Let's literally shove that to the side off the rip. We already know Paige can golf, and she did it collegiately at the D1 level. So let's not disrespect the golf ability at all. Um, we saw how quick some of these competitors can turn into amateurs real fast. Because my boy Garrett Clark from Good Good was rolling. Then my
what the
boy had
had
an 8.
the
He had the snowman, and it was bad.
no 9. He had a
It
9,
was a
bro.
9. Oh, that's
two
even
two
worse.
two two OBs.
Mm.
And then like the recovery shots were not good. They didn't show it, but even the guy
Uh,
describing it, it was pretty brutal. So it ended up with
yeah.
a 9.
Tyler Tony, do perfect. Just
That's the one spam comment I kept seeing in the chat when I did kind of look at it, just here and there. But it said, "Dude, perfect got exposed," and it was like somebody, and people kept jumping on it. So one person was doing it, and then you just see people copying and pasting it. So
right.
yeah,
And they're just here for the fun, anyways. I didn't like that Mac Bucher did all his trick shot shit. Like, I know that's your niche and that's what you do, but bro, you're good enough to play regular golf. Why don't you show the people why your trick shots are cool, but why you can actually play real golf? Why don't we do that? Um,
yeah.
Peter Finch, we know who he is. If you're not from, the British Isles or whatever, you don't really know who he is, even though he's got 400K strong on YouTube alone subbed. I mean, the dude can
It's an
play.
it, Yeah, it's interesting because it is most of these folks do have a YouTube presence. I think,
Yeah,
you know, with um with Roger, he is Instagram heavy, does not have a YouTube presence at all. I know he has an
at
account
all.
because I think I tagged him in a video a while back.
Long
But
ago.
other
Yeah.
than that, yeah, everybody else is definitely YouTube heavy and has a mix of other platforms, but their presence is largely on, YouTube putting out long form videos. So that made it tough for him. I mean, of course, they didn't have any TikTok golfers out there. Um,
Thank God.
so yeah. So
Um,
anyhow,
Fat Perez really showed how good his swing is, but how he not athletic to get that thing out there with everybody else. He hitting 2, 3 clubs up, trying
yeah.
to just get with everybody. But yeah, let's go. Let's get back to what it was. Roger Steele should have got a lot more praise than he did. The dude was out there balling, and he actually had the game going when it mattered the most. He got off the tee. It was electric stuff. I mean, bruh, I, I listen that Dalkey
Brad Dalkey.
Brad Dalkey, yeah. So
Brad.
dude could move it. I didn't really see much else besides the distance. With
Apparently,
Roger,
he also had some
he
pro
played
experience or
collegiate.
some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were giving his resume, and I mean the last name sounds familiar. Like I I don't know if it was in one of the NCAA regionals or NCAA tournaments, back in the day when we were really getting into the game, when we were just watching whatever. But Dalkey definitely rings a bell. But I mean, through the bag though, Roger still definitely had it going. I mean, I don't wanna be on this keister too much, but bro definitely floated through the course and just didn't, just ran out of steam on 18. And I think he really, yeah, I don't want to come with the excuses, but dang, like bro, I wish he would have
No.
knew what was
Here's the
going on
ugly.
18.
Here's the ugly. That's the ugly. So hot take. Let me just go through these quick slides, and then I'll give you my hot take on number 18. So of
Yeah.
course, Roger put up some Instagram slides with people just making comments about his showing. Great playing yesterday. Didn't know you before. I think he jumped like 15,000 followers in the first day after the Creator Classic. So shout out to him.
Hmm.
Much deserved. I think he's gotten a lot of love from our community. Now it's a little more universal. The ball speeds were off the chain. So definitely a
Yeah.
legit golfer.
Unreal stuff.
Kind of, him just reveling in the moment, showing his locker. Clearly Eastlake is an amazing course. Looks beautiful, presents incredibly well. So shout out to him for getting the opportunity to go out there, show he had an actual game, and was able to back it up. And then ultimately, Luke Kwan. I thought this was cool. Y'all play the same ball, Bridgestone guy,
Yeah.
the Tour BXS. So shout out to Luke Quan. Again, my boy Lazar, who plays in my group, has been really hyping up Luke Quan. He said he was happy that he left Good because he looked like he was miserable and has kind of since gone off, done his own channel, and you know, playing with another set of guys. They do a lot of videos routinely together, and said Luke Quan, of course, he could have gone pro and had the opportunity, had some stints where he was really close to being a sustained pro. So,
Yeah,
congratulations
he
to him
won
for being
something.
yeah.
He won some minor pro event.
But the ugly to me was Wesley Bryant being a straight, he's a B for not giving Roger Steele the line on 18 when he clearly
Yeah,
on camera then walked up to Luke Quan and gave him the, hey, go over this tree or between these two trees to this other fairway. When Roger then played it up the regular fairway, ended up in the rough, ended up having a decent layup to get up and down with the wedge, but considering he was the longest in that final group, not having that
right,
line, I think he would have had a really advantageous shot into 18. So I thought that was bullshit. I think you either shut up and don't give anybody the line if you're Wesley
right,
Bryant, or give it to everybody when y'all step up to that tee box. I thought that was
right,
garbage. Don't know why it happened the way it happened, but the fact that him showing Luke Quan on camera, I thought that was foul. That's my
right.
opinion. I lost respect for him. I've generally liked Wesley Bryant. And again, I don't watch their content. They're big. They deserve. I don't. That's also another questionable thing. Did he deserve to be there? As someone who actively played the PGA Tour this year, should he have been there, or should it have just been his
Mm,
brother? I
yeah,
get it. He's a creator, but he's also a professional golfer actively. So
yeah.
I think there were a couple things about Wesley Bryant that I left with a foul taste in my mouth, and I'm, like clearly we're not on their level, but I just thought that was bullshit as as an observer of what was right directly in front of us. So
Yeah,
where I
on
land on
camera.
that for the world to see. So
Yeah, we know
anyway,
where you stand, Mr. Brian.
yeah, and Roger, really had a good chance with that wedge and ended up short. But again, shout out to him. I thought overall, I'm looking forward to it coming back. Hopefully with some slight improvements. I would love to have them more mic'd up, just a little more interaction while on course. But I thought the lineup
Yeah,
was really good, and I think it also we're probably going to see a bunch of new people cropping up in the future trying to make it to the Creator Classic now that
everybody's
that's
going to try to
an
make some
avenue.
content for sure.
Yeah, and I think what they did is they took a little bit of the live aspects, which is like highlighting social media tweets, things like that. Of course, keeping the chat active. Crushed what we've seen from live at their peak. The YouTube stream had 120K viewers. That's pretty damn
Yeah,
impressive, man. And that doesn't include, the streaming with ESPN Plus as well. So I watched it on both. We were kind of moving around, getting some stuff. So again, pretty good production. They had it some other places as well. But I thought it was a
yeah.
good success for inaugural shot at it. People were asking where was Grant Horvat. I think he was in the booth. Interesting that he didn't play in it. I think they could have probably scraped up a couple of more guys to get the numbers even for another group. But
Or
um,
or just sub him in for Wesley Bryan, sorry ass. But you know what? I also, you know what? I did when Roger got interviewed afterwards, he did kind of allude to that. He was
yeah,
like,
and then
in
he
typical
caught
comedic
himself.
relief. Yeah, he was like, you know what? It just would have been nice to have the line. Like, bro, just love that from you,
I know
Roger.
he called
It's
it.
all making sense
He
now.
he put the mask on and
Oh
kind
yeah,
of kept it. He kept it PC, but
the
yeah,
Chicago
he was
came out
caught
though. It came out.
straight
It went
straight
ahead
up
on
and
did.
down.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I agree. I think they could have made it more fan friendly, but you got to think about it though. They wanted them to walk. They wanted them to get the experience of that. They should have put him in the carts, bro. Had all the cameras,
No,
the little GoPros and
no,
stuff. Yeah,
no,
that's how all
no.
their
Fuck
that's how
no.
all their vlogs
Wait,
are.
this is where we're
They
going to disagree.
interviewing.
No, no, I hate that aspect. That's why I don't like the match anymore because it's so manufactured. I like the walking. You're trying to put them in a venue where pros play and we're teeing it up the next day. Give that experience. I hate the cart stuff with the camera
I
directly in
want,
their face.
but I'm just giving.
Okay.
I'm just giving options for what would have made it more fan friendly. I don't want to hear Fat Perez mic'd up, huffing and puffing, walking. Yeah, man, I usually don't even do this, man. I'm already 2 transfusions in.
I
Anybody got
mean,
a
it's
water? I don't
selective.
care.
Again, it's
Yeah,
it's still a production. It's still a production. You selectively choose who's going to be getting the mic, when
yeah,
and where it makes sense. But anyway, I think it should come back for sure, and I think
agreed.
it was a success for the PJ Tour, and also for Black Stone Grills. They really were put
Oh my
themselves
God,
out there.
on the caddy bibs and everything. Yo, I don't
Right,
know how
but
Bradford Wilson made it through there. Bradford Wilson was glistening up in that tent. The forearms, the forehead. He did,
it
mom.
was
He did
good.
one of mine. He had the 2 or 3 fingers. Just wipe the forehead real quick. Just had to flash that off and just keep going.
At one
Mic'd
point,
up.
when they were doing some pasta, he was struggling to put that parmesan on that pasta. I'm like, can you dump the thing out, my guy? You are out here really struggling. But yeah, I thought it was a good production overall, and it did what it did. Right, we know it's a
Yeah,
mix of kind of the creator culture of golf that we see on YouTube every day, mixed with a little bit of real golf. Like you said, it was good to see people get exposed in their games. Maybe not be. There's no double takes. You can't retake
right,
out there on live TV. So those double
right.
divots that we see sometimes on those videos, we see you. We know
Yeah,
you're
brother.
you're you're not one take aces out here. So
We saw the
anyway,
putting line too when you putted it in the first time and it lipped out. Now you got to remake the putt and make you making the birdie putt this time. It's okay, buddy.
I know. Um, quick mention of the LPGA as they approach the Solheim Cup. So they had a weather delay on the FM Championship. Good to see the ladies playing TPC Boston. Super
Yeah, I was about to
cool.
say, got a good venue
Saw them on the major venue. Kind of
on Labor Day
headlined by.
weekend.
That's right. Replacing the guys, I guess, right? Since the schedule has shifted. Um, Alexa Pano, she's a native of the New England area, young up and coming star. I don't know how much you know about her, but she reminds me of a much more refined Lexi Thompson. Just that kind of similar pathway, a lot of success earlier in the career.
Right.
But I don't know, just like her swing is so fluid. That's the one
Hmm.
thing that I feel like Lexi never evolved with, that kind of those heavy divots and really getting steep. But Alexa Pano, next up and coming star, she's gonna be a face and a name that y'all need to know for a long time. But today, Heirun Ryu ends up winning in a one-hole playoff versus Jin Young Ko, going down 18, and just weather delay. But again, they presented really well. They got the ESPN Plus coverage as well as, of course, some mainstream coverage this week, kind of going head to head with the Tour Championship. So
Yeah.
salute to the ladies for taking
Yeah.
advantage of the opportunity. I actually watched more of the LPGA this week than I did the Tour Championship. I watched all day today on the Tour Championship, but first 3 days I was heavy into the LPGA.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting, huh? Let's talk about their Solheim Cup. Let's bring this up. So this is coming up in 2 weeks. I wish I could
Yep.
have got a bigger render, but it is what it is. We got Allison Corpus, Lauren Coughlin, Allie Ewing, who is this? Megan Kang, Nelly Korda, Jennifer Kupcho, Allison Lee, Andrea Lee, um, Sarah Smetzel, Lexi Thompson, Lilia Vu, and our girl Rose Zhang on the U.S. side of
Oh.
things. What do you think about the team, man? It's solid. I mean, there's some
Um,
great ladies who are
it's
not playing great golf right now, though.
um Cupcho pick, Smetzel pick, Thompson pick, Megan Kang was the last pick, right? Was the fourth, or did they
I
only
think
get three
so.
picks?
No, I think it's six.
Um, um, I really hope that they bond well. I think the game is there. It's just a matter of finding. I mean, it's just like what happened in 2016, that Ryder Cup for the American men. Finding the right pods, keeping those together, and not doing anything stupid. There's no reason to outsmart ourselves when we have this much talent on the board. Shout out Allison Lee for sticking with it, though. She was another one of those young number one, number two ranked amateurs for a long time. Went
Mm-hmm.
pro early on into her college career, and was trying to do school and pro golf. Kind of, fizzled out, lost the passion, came back, found the game, was playing LET golf, playing a Ramco series until she got back onto and still getting starts on the LPGA, but her main breadwinner was, overseas, Asian tour and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But she stuck with it. Um, I'm excited. Not as intimidated with the European squad. I don't. I mean, I want the golf to be forefront though, so I don't want to. I mean, I'm not really seeing anybody that I'm scared of besides like me,
Um,
Leona
I
Maguire is
think
scary in match play.
yeah, Lynn
Um,
Grant can get hot. We know she can also go on
they
a
brought back
cooker.
Anna Norkis. I think Anna Norkis is on the team as like a elder stateswoman, and also like I'm pretty sure she's not gonna be around much longer on the scene as far as pro
Yeah.
golf goes. So this might be her little send off to go with that. Um, you can't leave Emily Pedersen, off the team. I mean, literally carried that third day or whatever, that second day, that third or fourth session or whatever, hole in
Yeah.
one, hitting it tight. You just can't leave her off the squad. So good on her for that captain's pick from Pedersen. Um, Charlie Hull is going to be a dark horse for me. I mean, it's going to be Georgia and Charlie all weekend, and I
Right.
think
We know they're going to be paired up.
they're gonna have it. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make some noise. They're gonna have at least 2 points off their match. They might win all three if they go, three out of the four sessions or whatever, plus their solo stuff. I'm afraid of like players like that, but otherwise, I'm not.
No,
I
from a
think
talent
overall,
perspective,
America should win, and it's in
yeah.
America. So
Yeah. And that's, the Europeans were able to keep the cup. It was a 14-14 tie. Um,
yeah, and they just
this
retained it.
last, yeah. So hopefully the ladies can take it back. I'm as an American, I'm always rooting for us to get our crap together overseas. That's where we tend to not show up.
Right.
So, it'll be super disappointing if they are not able to do it on home soil. So, um, the pressure is on them to perform.
Yeah. You know what? Let me not disrespect Esther Henselite too, because fam, she been cooking lately, and
You're right.
she might be
Right.
carrying that momentum in as well. I mean, that the game has been going crazy because not only right after the major, she was competing in that next field event, and then
Yeah.
next major, she was competing again. So something about Henselite got her going. So
Yeah. She
cannot
found the game
disrespect.
at the right time for sure. So we'll see. That's a couple weeks out. They're going to be taking a break. I was looking at the PGA Tour schedule. I think we're completely off next week. Yeah. There's no PGA or LPGA this coming week. So
Don't say that.
let's jump back. Yeah. I'm sure DP World
Oh my
Tour is going
god,
though, right?
bro.
And maybe we're getting the end of year stuff for the Corn Ferry. I'll have to look that up. But right now, the two
You're
major
right. You might have
tours
the
are not
playoffs.
going.
Procure
Let's jump into
Championship, September 12th through the 15th. Yuck.
yeah. Let's look at the President's Cup. So that's at the end of September. Right now, we just have the not the captains, but the automatic picks that are going. So of course, Scotty Xander, um, Colin Morikawa. You know what? We were really bagging on Wyndham Clark a couple weeks ago. He's kind of gotten his game together. He's been playing
Yeah.
pretty well. Last in the playoffs, he's had a resurgence in the playoffs, but did not end, the Open very well or end of the regular season. Sahith, which we've
Yeah.
already talked about, he's going to be a really good glue guy in this locker room. Hopefully,
Yeah.
neutralizes the bullshit with Patrick Cantlay. Hopefully, we can. Usually Cantlay and Xander are going to be matched up together. Hopefully, there's no hat controversy as we saw in the Ryder Cup last year, and no BS about players getting paid. Hopefully, we can avoid that kind of silliness. We should
Yeah.
see our captain's picks this week. Excuse me. I think Jim Furyk is the leading
Isn't
captain
it
from on the
tomorrow?
U.S. side. Should be.
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure they're
so.
making. Yeah.
They did a little call out to Justin Thomas, hope he gets a call from Jim Furyk. I'm like, please don't.
Why?
JT still has JT
He's
still
not
has
even
not been
Captain
playing.
America enough.
I know. We'll see. It'll
He's
be
not even like
interesting.
that yet, bro.
I'm super happy with the automatic six that are going in. On the other side of it,
Agreed.
though, pretty formidable here. So,
This is a stacked international team. This might be the closest it'll be in a long time.
yes. So, kind of working out. Hideki Matsuyama playing some really good golf. Was able to come back from an injury out of the BMW Championship, play through the full Tour Championship in a really good
Yeah.
spot. Tom Kim probably has some stuff to prove. Left the playoffs early. Also, a lot of talk about his bad attitude. So he's going to have some things to prove going into the President's Cup. Jason
Yeah.
Day quietly had a really solid season this year. Unfortunately, the Malbon close kind of outshined his actual
Right.
performance, but the man's had a really good season. Solid pick. I'm happy that he is no longer dealing with the injury issue. We're getting to see him on a consistent basis. Really do want to see him work back to where he's competing, in that conversation of top 10 in golf again. Sung J
Yeah.
M, we touched on him last week. The man just hits darts with irons. He's not your
Yeah.
longest player, but he's going to hit a straight iron if his life depended on it. So he's going to be really good in the match play aspect of this, as well as the not the four ball, but the other format when they're going back and forth, and put him second in their rotation. Put him with the good driver of the ball. Let him hit irons all day long.
Yeah.
Adam Scott, Silver Scott, also playing incredibly good golf right now. The man feels timeless at this point. Swing looks as good as ever. Doesn't look like he's slowing down one bit. Clubhead speed is on par with these young boys. It's pretty damn
Yeah.
impressive what we're seeing from Adam Scott and Ben on. Saw a video. If y'all are on Instagram, go check out the PGA Tour slash President's Cup post. They had a dual post, and it was just him talking about his confidence in himself and his talent. He's like, I'm not a hard worker at all, but I got the talent to beat most of these guys out here, essentially. So it's very
Damn.
interesting hearing him talk about himself like that.
Talk your shit then.
I know. So the international team really stacked. So we'll see what they add from a captain's picks perspective, but
About 4
this
Canadians.
this is not a shoe in, man. This is not a shoe in.
No. That's the craziest part about it. I know they're trying to make some drama over there. It's gonna be a lot of Canadians. They're in Canada this year. So it's gonna run that way. But Minwoo Lee's got to be on the team. You can't leave him off the team. And then players like a Corey Connors or a Nick Taylor or a Taylor Pendrith. You can't leave those guys off the
Yeah.
team. That's 4 already. That's 4 right there. You only got 2 more left to go. What are we going to do? You know what? That's not our problem. That's not our problem. Our problem is we got to do – oh, my God. We got to go crazy over there. Oh, man. We got to go crazy. I think Sahith is I was going to bring up Sahith anyways because I think this tour championship, regardless of the penalty and stuff like that, it might be scary hours if he can figure out how to just stay consistent. He's got one of the craziest imaginations on this planet. I mean, just think about that bump and run chip with the wedge that he hit on Pinehurst around the bunker, up the hill, right to left, curled it in from like the most craziest birdie ever where they thought he was going to come out with bogey or double.
Yeah.
Sahith is going to be somebody to play with. Xander trending in the right way. Scottie, you cannot deny him and his competitiveness. I think it's going to be scary as far as I think Wyndham is trending the right way. I agree. I don't know if he's mentally going to be in the right state, though. Remember, this is a guy that is more individualistic than the others. Remember, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He thinks he's the guy. Look, this is going to be the telltale sign.
I know, but he's got to have a friend in the locker room somewhere, right? Somebody that he's at least cool with, that you can pair him with in those early days. I think so. But, I was talking to my wife about this because she was watching them the other day where we were watching golf together. And I said, there's a sentiment out there from a fan perspective, and I'm not sure where it comes from, that people, when you look at Wyndham Clark post online, he gets a lot of hate. And I don't know where that has originated from like casual viewers. I don't know where that is. Because I'm like, he doesn't seem that bad to me. He's never made any egregious comments that I'm just like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? So,
I mean, he's got a history from the college days and stuff like that, where he's a little bit more unhinged, but that was a mental battle that he was going through. He's come out and spoken publicly about it, though. He's gotten over that. He's through with that. He's got a mental coach. He's not in those dark areas of his life anymore. So again, I agree. I think a lot of that hate needs to just be guarded at him thinking that he's better than he really is. But when you're a pro athlete, you gotta have an inordinate amount of confidence to do it on that level.
A ridiculous, like irrational confidence that no one else is walking around with. Yeah.
Everybody is on that same level of talent. It's about mental battles at that point. But he's got to realize it's probably Scottie, then it's Xander, then probably Wyndham as far as biggest stage performer, as far as like, who do I want to make a putt? Who do I know can hit this tough, this wedge close? Who do I know is going to hit this? I'm not saying Wyndham Clark. We just talked about his
I think Sahith has really stepped up into that, because there were some times this weekend, I should say, where he could have really fallen apart and, not been able to compete for that top 3 spot, where I'm like, dude, he's getting it together mentally. The talent we could always see. It was quickly there for him. He's long, and it makes me nervous every time I see him line up a club to a ball and he's on the damn hosel and then he swings that thing out to end. I'm like, oh, bro, I feel like this is a shank ready to happen. But I feel like he made some putts this week where I was just like, okay, that's a grown man putt right there. To get up and down for a birdie, some par saves here and there that were with some meat on the bone. So I think we're gonna really see that next set of guys. We've been needing to kind of remodel the U.S. kind of these President's Ryder Cup teams for a while. We've been seeing retreads. We saw the debacle last year in the Ryder Cup. So I think we're at that point, and of course with the live guys kind of self-eliminating themselves from that. And I don't think that's, yes, Keegan said that those guys are going to be eligible for
They're not
captain
showing
seats,
shit
but
though right now.
again, if your game is not trending in the right direction, how can we see that? Yeah, we'll get to see it
Right.
in the majors, but then between the majors and then when the Ryder Cup comes, it's going to be like a 2-month break between the last major and when the Ryder Cup rolls up next year. So we'll
Yeah.
see how that all pans out. But I think again, we're at that stage where we need to see some young bloods coming into the mix and kind of get some of the retreads out of here. Because I'm sorry, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas just don't do it for me anymore on the international stage.
They been a
They've
part of
had
too
their
much losing. They losers.
yeah,
Losers. We need fresh brains that don't know what that feel is. The taste in their mouth is hunger and blood. It ain't revenge. Revenge for what? I ain't been here yet. I want to just win flat out. I don't know who these
right.
guys are. I want that too. Colin Morikawa, he needs to stick around. Him and
Yeah,
that
because he's
crazy bold wrist, love him. That shit is crazy to me. I can't. I feel
that
like my
that tight
wrist would break.
that tight
The
little
long
fade, but
thumb, crazy to me.
all right. We're gonna save that because next week will be a very light week. We're gonna save that Golf Digest tee up story for next week. We'll move that one along.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to talk about before we hop off?
Yes. Question. We're talking about Scotty's game and it being able to travel. Do you believe Scotty's game translate to links course in windy conditions, not just parkland windy, hitting out of tunnels, hitting out of tight knit courses? Can he play where you can hit the ball wherever and be affected by the wind and no tree cover?
I
Does his
think
game
so.
translate?
Here's why, and I think it's not because I've seen it out of him. It's because I think that Xander set the um, blueprint this year. Because
Yeah,
Xander is a high ball hitter too. But I think with the current generation of ball, so we haven't had any ball changes as of yet, and I just think the equipment is so good these days that you can still hit a high ball and you don't have to necessarily change your trajectory to be able
yeah,
to win link style golf. And I say that based on Xander's win this year, not what I've seen from Scotty. He's not been
yeah.
great in link style golf. He's been okay, but yeah, I think his game can travel to be able to compete. I think it'll take some unique circumstances and maybe not the worst weather week on a link style course, but maybe average to mid. Because I think mentally
Hmm.
he's got it like that. I think
Yeah,
he's one of those guys that can kind of get outside of the discomfort of the weather conditions and still play formidable golf. So
yeah.
I think under the
Agreed.
right conditions, he can still get it done.
Okay, just trying to see where you stand.
Yeah, man. I'm a Scotty believer. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
I mean, really though, if he can win and if he can start winning across the pond and stuff like that, as they say, he gonna start accumulating these majors, and he might be in that GOAT discussion. Remember, he's not
For
30
sure.
yet. He's got 13 good years before he even turns 40. Before we even talking about that,
Yeah.
so 13 times four, he's got 50 chances.
And he's focused, man. He's so
He
focused. I
wants
love
to
it.
win. He talks about the fact that he got in that interview and was like giggling. He was like, I think at the end of the day, what people don't understand is I like to compete. And then
Yep.
when they were talking about if he's playing with the homies, I mean, I play at like a +7 at the crib, bro. So I'm giving him 12 strokes. But at the end of the day, we gonna have some type of game to where we can all compete. I'm still gonna win, but that's the name of the game. That's why we have handicaps. Stuff like that comes out, it gives me chills because it's like Scotty gonna find a way to win. He don't, and I think that's what his dad was alluding to out on the PGA, you just got to scrap it around and find a way to score and not mess it up. He not always going to hit the 62s, the 61s.
Right.
He's got that in the game for a round, but he's not going to do that all four. So I definitely
I
get
mean, we
what
saw
Dad
it.
was saying.
Yeah, we saw it earlier in the year where he went on that streak where I think it was rounds under par, and then also a comparison of
Something crazy
rounds
in the
in this
60s.
in the 60s, right? So
Yeah,
it's like, dude, when you're not always going to show up and have your best stuff, but him to be able to just slap it around, still keep it, sub 70, nuts,
right.
man. And that was over. I forget how many rounds it was, but it was one of those stats where you're like, okay, this is getting Tiger like when you're just
Yeah,
showing the consistency when you don't have your fastball. So I agree with that. Scotty's he's gonna be that guy for a long time. Whether we
yeah,
re-merge together or things stay like this and we see new talent coming up. So again,
agreed.
kudos to him for this 2024. That's it, y'all. We'll be back next week, of course. It'll be a light week, but we'll find some stuff to talk about.
We
We're
still
getting
got
into that
plenty of
time of
golf
the
to
year.
talk about.
Um, yeah, man. So random. This is super random. No, I'll save it. I will save it. I'll save it for next week. Beater
Okay.
Bros Golf Show. We'll catch y'all next week. I'm Rod.
And Marcus.
Holler.